Hi, it's Andy, and today I'm bringing you my September wrap-up. The month of September was not a good month for me. It was also a great month for me, but it was really weird. I got to go hang out with really good friends in Edinburgh. I got to meet one of my favourite authors of all time, which was the highlight of my month, if not the highlight of my year, because Kate Moss is amazing. I only read like 7 books. It was a really, really bad reading month. I also got COVID. Oh, I also saw Busted. Seeing Busted was amazing. Like, I did so many amazing things during the month of September, but then I got COVID and my reading tanked because I had COVID and I was very, very ill. Like, very, very ill. Like, one night I thought I was going to have to go to hospital kind of ill. So my reading kind of really, really tanked, and I did not complete the Vampire Diaries readathon. I was 2 books off, so great. But yeah, I'm going to take you through the books that I did read, and next month will be a better month. The first thing I read was Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This is a graphic novel about 2 friends who work at a pumpkin patch, and it is their last year there and they want to make it a good one. And so they go on this task where she is trying to get him to talk to the girl he's liked the entire time, and they can't find her. So they're having to go like to all these different stalls. You get to see the whole pumpkin patch. There's an escaped ram. It's absolutely hilarious. I loved it. It was really, really good. I hadn't actually stopped thinking about it, so well done, because I did not think I was going to enjoy it, and I actually really did. Next is the next in my Lindsay Sands reread, and that is One Lucky Vampire. This follows Nicole and Jake, and Nicole is going through a pretty bad divorce, or like she's been apart from her partner for a while, but the divorce is going through now, and things have started to go awry in her home, and she's had a few near-death experiences. So her cousin asks Marguerite to help her out, and so she sends in Jake to be her bodyguard. But she thinks that Jake is her housekeeper slash cook, and he's actually her life mate as well. So it's these two trying to work around each other, trying to figure out what's happening, who's trying to kill her. They think it's her husband, of course, and she thinks it's just a series of accidents. And I love these two so much. I love this one. It was so funny. It's the most different, I think, out of all the books, and I just really, really enjoyed this. I always really enjoy these, so I'm happy. Next up, I read The Romeo Captures by Alice Arden, and despite how big it is, this did not take me that long to read. This is the second in the Casket Girls quartet so far, and this is a follow-on from the first one, where the sort of, not necessarily the consequences of the last book, but the realisation of what happened in the first book is kind of hitting home for all the characters, and they're dealing with a lot of the stress and the doubt and trying to figure out what's going on and deal with coven things. I don't want to give too much else away, but this is set in New Orleans. It's about vampires and witches in New Orleans, and it is also set on the back of a massive hurricane that hit a la Katrina. It's not named as Katrina, but it's very much that sort of idea. You get the great atmosphere of seeing New Orleans and getting the comparison of how the characters remember it before the storm and how it looks after the storm. She talks about how the water level sometimes got up and some people would drown in their attics. Like, it is, the way she talks about the storm, it is devastating, it's heartbreaking, it is so horrendous, but the atmosphere that Alice Arden creates in this just gives you the idea of just how awful these storms are, these hurricanes that hit places like New Orleans as well. And that's one of my favourite things about it, how well she writes New Orleans. But yeah, I don't want to ruin it by spoiling this one. They are also on script if anybody wants to listen to the audio. Next, I read Buried by Professor Alice Roberts. This audiobook is also read by Alice herself, and it's always a really, really good time reading her books. This is kind of like a companion novel to Ancestors, and this book specifically looks at burials in the UK to do with sort of ancient burials. So you've got Romans, you've got other types of burials. I can't even think properly what they're called now, but you know, so yeah, you've got Anglo-Saxon burials, you've got Christian burials, you've got Roman burials, you've got so many different things and so many different ways in which people were buried, and they're looking at what that means about the people in society and the types of ritual that people had, and it's just so interesting to me. But I'm a history geek, so yeah, I really enjoyed this again. I learned so much, actually. I really did kick me off watching Time Team on YouTube though, so did that a lot when I had COVID. And next I read Artemis by Andy Weir. This is Andy Weir's, I want to say this is Andy Weir's YA book, but I don't think it is meant to be YA. It is about our main character who's in her like early 20s, mid 20s, I'm not even sure anymore, and Jazz is a criminal. She smuggles things onto the moon, so she lives, cycle back, she lives in this place called Artemis, which is a station on the moon where people live, and she smuggles in things that you're not supposed to have, but then something happens and she gets involved in this life or death gang war type thing, and her life is on the line and she goes on the run, and you get to see a lot of Artemis and how it works and the moon. It's so interesting. It's such a quick, fast-paced book, and it is similar in ways to The Martian and Project Hail Mary. It's not as good in my opinion, but it also feels like a novella in comparison, because you don't quite get, like, a lot happens in a short space of time, and it just is. It's so rapid and quick. Definitely not his best work, but I wouldn't say it's bad in any way. I really enjoyed my time with we did it. Next, I read The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is a reread for me. This is a book that is basically, it gets touted as Harry Potter for adults, but it's not. It is like Narnia for adults. So in this world, you've got a set of books that are called Fillory and Further, and that is about a family of kids who one day one of them pushes through a grandfather clock and finds this other world of Fillory, and they go on adventures to become kings and queens, yada yada yada. You know, the whole Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe-esque thing. And then you have Quentin back in the real world, and Quentin is 18 and he's about to go to university, and he's about to, go for an interview for Princeton because he's very smart and he's very arrogant about it. And then the guy who was meant to be interviewing him is dead, and the paramedic's a bit weird, and he ends up chasing this manuscript that is given by the paramedic off into this weird alleyway, and pushes through and comes out in this other place. No, it's not Fillory, it is Brickbills. Brickbills is an academy, a university-like academy for magical youth, so it is like after high school, university, but for magicians. And Quentin discovers that he may be a magician because, first of all, you have to pass the test, and only 20 people will get into Brickbills, and Quentin gets in. And then with this book, you just, honestly, like, about half of this book, if not just over half of this book, is his entire career at Brickbills. And then they do 5 years, but he does skip a year. So you get 4 years of school in this, but you still understand the magic system. It's really quite clever the way he's done it. It's very intense, it's very dark, the triggers are up the wazoo, and I really love it. But Quentin also discovers in this that Fillory might not be as fictional as he thinks, and I absolutely love this. Like I said, this is really dark, and none of the characters are good people. They're all really unlikable characters, but it just adds to the sort of weird dark charm of the thing. I do plan on reading the entire trilogy over again, so I'll keep you updated on that. Next up, I read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is one that has been sort of on my radar for a while because a lot of my friends really like it. I am kind of ambivalent about it. I just found a note in it that is not for this book. I remember I put it there for safekeeping. This is about Gideon, who lives on the 9th house, which is a planet. So it's a solar system, 9 planets. They're named after, it's like the 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house. Yada. And Gideon lives on the 9th house. And in the 9th house, they do bones, motherfucker. And if you've read it, you'll get that reference, and if you've not, you'll be like, what? But I don't know what to think about this book, because when I think of Gideon and Harrow interacting, I love it. I love Gideon. I love the attitude she has. I love Gideon, and I love the way she interacts with Harrow, and I love the trial element of it, and And then the end happens, and I did not like the end. I'm not a fan of the end. The second book doesn't sound like anything I want to read, so we'll see if I even get to that. So yeah, so far at the moment I'm taking this as a standalone. I don't know, I'm so conflicted about this book. I think I need to sit with it a bit longer. It's been less than a week since I read it, so I think I just need to sit with this a bit longer. Maybe even do a reread later on. But yeah, Gideon is an indentured servant, I should say. So Gideon lives in the 9th house, and she is an indentured servant to the family who run the 9th house, Harrow being the family's daughter, and the puppet master of the family. Again, if you've read it, you will get the reference. And they hate each other, Harrow and Gideon. They do. They really, really hate each other. Harrow basically tortures Gideon for fun, and Gideon has spent her entire life trying to escape the 9th house. And when we meet Gideon, that is exactly what she's doing. She's escaping until she's not, and she gets dragged into this trial with these game type things with Harrow. Yeah, so it was really enjoyable, but the ending just didn't quite hit home for me. And the last full book I read in the month of September, Percy Jackson, The Chalice of the Gods. As you can see, I have an extensive Percy Jackson collection here. This is the newest in the Percy Jackson world. Newest in release order, not in reading order. So this is set between Here's Olympus and Trials of Apollo. So you could read it in there. I would slot it in. Otherwise, I got confused. There's a character who's not in this, who is in the other books, and I was like, where is she? And then I was like, right, okay, it's set before she's right. I'm with you. The premise of this is that Percy is a high school senior and he wants to go to university or college, as they call it in America. But to do this, he needs 3 recommendation letters from Olympus. And to do that, he has to do 3 different quests, because of course he does, because saving the world a bunch of times is not enough for the gods. And so each book in this trilogy will cover one of the tasks that he has to complete to get these letters to get into university. This one, The Chalice of the Gods, is set around the fact that Ganymede, the cupbearer of the gods, has lost the chalice, and he comes to Percy and asks him to help him find it, or, find it for him, because of course he does. And so Percy teams up with his OGs, Annabeth and Grover, to find the chalice. And it's basically just like a low stakes-ish quest to find this chalice in New York, and I really enjoyed it. The first line hit me, even though it shouldn't have. But if you've reread Percy Jackson lately, the first line is so nostalgic, and it just, Rick knows how to play his audience. And I'm not going to do it. I'm thinking about it and I want to cry. Rick dedicated this to the 3 that are going to be playing, Annabeth, Grover and Percy, in the TV show, and that does this to me. I don't know why. I think possibly because they've had such a hard time at their children. They're children, and so many people have been mad at the fact that they're not what they imagined for the role, especially Leah, who's playing Annabeth, because she is black. She's been getting a lot of stick from people for daring to play Annabeth, despite the fact that she's obviously going to do a fantastic job, to the point where her socials had to be deactivated and the team at Disney had to get involved to sort of protect her. She's a child, and the fact that Rick has dedicated this to them shows that he has the utmost trust in these 3 to do the series justice, and I'm so excited. I am so excited to see the series. But yeah, this book, loved it. I see this as more like a novella than a novel, but still, it's nice, quick read, less than 300 pages, beautiful sprayed edges, if I do say so myself. And yeah, I did wonder about this, but you get to this fairly quickly. Really, really enjoyed it. You get to see more of the gods, and I will just take anything in the Percy Jackson universe at this point. So, yeah. I did also get halfway through the Shadow Cabinet, but I'm going to tack that on to next month, so that'll be my next month's wrap up. But yeah, that is all I managed to read. It's still quite a lot. I don't know how many pages or anything. If I remember, I'll try and pop it up here. But I really enjoyed what I did read. Unfortunately, like I say, COVID kind of muddled up my reading. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with what I read. I'm really happy that I branched out to things that I wouldn't normally read, and I'm so excited that we got a new Percy Jackson book. Anyway, if you got this far and you want to leave me a comment, if you put the trident emoji in for Percy Jackson, because of course has to be the trident. And sorry, can I just say, right, so see this, wait a minute, I'll show you. See, this is the trident head that I use for my tattoo. There goes the book, because that's the trident head. This is one of those things where it's like the tattoo trend on TikTok, where it's like people ask me, oh, won't you regret that when you're older? How can I regret it when I get to talk about you? Like, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go before I get overexcited and start on a Percy Jackson rant. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.